Now, just a few words about the war, and this slide is perhaps the most instructive. If you look at the orange plus the tan areas, with the exception of Aleppo and up there, that's the big population centers of Syria. And the orange parts are the parts that are governed and controlled by the government. Probably 75–80% of the population of Syria. From everything that I can tell, not just from my visit, but I happen to have had two women who were traveling there incognito, and they reported the people are absolutely happy with President Assad. They're absolutely happy with their government. And so the vast bulk of the people stand beside. You think about it. This war's been going on for 5 years. There's not been one attempt on President Assad's life, and not one single rebel leader has emerged as a popular figure with the Syrian people. Isn't that amazing? In Nazi Germany, people were, I mean, there was tremendous support for Adolf Hitler. There were 6 or 8 serious attempts on his life. I met the cousin of one of the fellows who actually did the bomb that almost killed Hitler. So you had all of those attempts. The Syrian people have not tried to assassinate President Assad. And so you have to ask, well, why? Well, you have to have a certain amount of popularity. If you are really disliked by your people are going to find a way to do something about it. Now, okay, so the bright orange is the part that's controlled by the government. The part around Idlib is a pocket that's formed by Al-Qaeda, which, you know, al-Nusra, Ahrar al-Sham, all of these groups, but they are Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda allies. And now that tan part has shrunken. The Syrian army has managed to squeeze it. Up around Aleppo, what I really want to show you, if you can see the part with the dotted outline and the great ISIS arrow pointing down. Okay, it's right next to Kobani. Now, you all remember the Battle of Kobani. The Kurds were there. ISIS was on a sweep. They were rolling over the Kurds, and the Kurds made a final stand in Kobani. And lo and behold, to everybody's surprise, they held out. And they couldn't be defeated. And they fought, and they fought, and finally it became a political embarrassment to the administration, and they said, all right, let's give them a little bit of help. So we did some bombing campaigns, and at a certain point, once DOD had some discretion, DOD, frankly, there's a lot of Syrian sympathy in the Department of Defense, not in the State Department. We have a split government on this. But once DOD had the wherewithal, the next thing, they parachuted supplies into the Kurds. Anyway, the Kurds were able to win a great victory at Kobani, and much to everyone's surprise, they didn't stop there, but they rolled on. And the areas you see in green are controlled by the Kurds right now, and they actually have expanded beyond this. You know, this is slightly dated, but what they were doing is they were choking off the Turkish routes of supply for ISIS. Every bullet, every canister of poison gas, every artillery shell, every tank, every truck that comes in to the terrorist comes from Turkey with the approval, the highest level approval of the government. I have spoken to witnesses who watched at the major highways leading into Turkey, and I was told they are running hundreds of oil tankers across the border right past the guards. And I asked the question, I said, hundreds in what period of time? And I was told hundreds every single day. At the height of this, 44,000 barrels of oil stolen from Syria were being run across the border and sold by Turkey. So Turkey dealt in stolen oil, in stolen antiquities, and most disgustingly of all, when they seized Mosul over in Iraq, they seized modern hospitals, and they ordered the doctors to take Christian and Yazidi children, strap them down on the operating table, and with the children still alive, cut them open and harvest their live organs while the children were still alive, and then pack the organs in ice, ship them off where they went to Turkey and to Saudi Arabia for sale on the open market. Those are our allies. With allies like those, I tell you what, you don't need enemies. But this is, Turkey has essentially become a kleptocracy, and a very disgusting one. So these are the things that Turkey was doing. Now, Turkey did not want to become part of the coalition because they are the #1 ally of ISIS, and they have been from the beginning. But they saw that they were being choked off by the Kurds, and so they came to the United States. They said, look, we'll cut a deal with you. We are going to join the coalition. However, you have to allow us to bomb in this area that you see in gray. Now, the gray is all ISIS. Okay, Raqqa is the capital city of ISIS, and you can see the area that they're looking at. We agreed, and immediately Turkey launched 300 airstrikes. Their eyesight is not very good, okay? And they happened to hit the Kurds with 297 out of 300 airstrikes. Wow, what great allies against ISIS they are. Basically what they were doing is they were keeping open their supply lines to ISIS because they make a lot of money from ISIS and they make a lot of trouble with ISIS. Okay, I'm going to run quickly through some of the latest things happening in the war. There is a huge battle brewing over Aleppo. It's not the first time, but the 4th Mechanized Division of the Syrian Army has moved in. There are reinforcements coming out of Hezbollah moving in. And what happened, there were two things that the Syrian Army did very effectively. One is if you could see the arrow where they went in and they relieved the Kuwaris Air Base. It had been under siege for 2 years, and you know, somehow the media thinks that all the sieges are Syrian, that only the Syrian army has sieges, and somehow they overlook places like the Kuwaris Air Base, places like Deir al-Azor, which is a very large city that's been under siege for many years, and also the Shiite area of Nubal and Zahara. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. You have to bear with me when I pronounce Syrian names. But the Shiites were up in this pocket. They were being besieged, and the Syrian army first relieved the siege of Kuwaris. They hooked to the left, and they took that entire area away from al-Qaeda, and they threatened al-Bab, which is up at the top, which is an important communications center. They also hooked over and they connected up with the Shiites in Nubal and Zahara, and they managed to choke off the supply lines coming out of Turkey to Aleppo. Now, Turkey responded by increasing their supplies coming through Latakia province, and you can see the big arrow, the big Al-Qaeda arrow, and they have forced back the Syrian army in this area here. So the struggle goes back and forth. I mean, this is a huge undertaking, and only God knows the exact direction it will take. This is that area that I showed you that Turkey keeps open as a way of getting their supplies back and forth with ISIS. And the interesting thing, there are two communication centers in it. You can see where all of the roads meet in these two towns. One is Al-Bab, the other is Manjib. The United States has recently organized the Kurds with a handful of Arabs and has pretty much surrounded Manjib, and they are choking that off. Al-Bab is not nearly as effective because it is constantly under threat by the Syrian army. So this Kobani Gap is beginning to be strangled by U.S. forces and also to some extent by the Syrian forces.